Well, back to Psalm 40, okay? And that's where we're going to stay, so you don't get lost. Wherever you are, go to the middle. Just open your Bible to the middle, and you'll find the Psalms, probably, and find the 40th Psalm. And I want to real quickly give you a little journey through this 40th Psalm, because the key verses are verses 6 through 8. And there's a phrase in here that I want to begin pondering with you, because get the setting again. We went to the New Testament. Some of you are all caught up now. You're in the Passion in the Garden of Gethsemane. I want to go back to David, okay, in your minds. Change gears here. Think of David face down in the mud, okay? That was last week. He's pushed up, and he's got mud on his face. And he's looking up at the Lord. And this is what he says. Again, read verses 6 through 8 with me. Follow along in your Bible. This is what he says. Sacrifice and offering you do not desire. My ears you have opened. Now just stop there. That is the essence of this psalm. David was learning that in the mud. Jesus knew that and called that his marching orders. That his ears were open to God. He wanted, above all else, not his own plans, not his own goals, not his own agenda, but he wanted God's agenda to be placed upon his life. And the way that happens is right here, and sometimes we just zip right by this. My ears you have opened. The Hebrew is literally, 2 ears you have dug for me. If you look at the Hebrew words in Psalm 40 and verse 6, it doesn't say just my ear you have opened. It says 2 ears you have dug for me. And we're going to take a long time talking about that, because the concept is that without God working, we can't even hear him. Not only for salvation, because we're dead in our trespasses and sin, but as we live our spiritual lives, we get our ears filled with our agenda. And it's like everybody's talking, and everybody's telling us what to do, and we're kind of trying to do the Lord's will, but we have our headphones on, and we're going, what are you saying? Huh? What are you saying? You ever talk to someone, they've got those ear pods in, and you talk to them, and they go, they don't take them out. They go, what? But they're still, whatever's booming in their ears, they're still booming in their ears. Happens all the time, especially on airplanes. People have all these devices on, and they'll come and they say, and what drink would you like? And they go, what? They don't take the earphones off. They go, what? And they're still listening, and then finally they mumble something. And that reminds me of how we go through life with God. We've got our own agenda just booming in our ears. And we need him. Look at verse 6. We need him to dig open our ears. And that's the lesson David's learning in the pits. My ears you've dug for me. David is picturing his desire to reflect Christ's coming obedience and dedication. You see, this psalm tells us this is a picture of Jesus. But David is saying, that's what I want in my life. I want you to dig my ears. I want you to make me obedient and submissive. Even though he didn't know that this was a reflection of the coming Christ. It's a reflection of his heart because he loved the Lord and he wanted to do his will. Well, this messianic psalm is a look ahead through David's life at the coming of Christ. And David was told by the Spirit of God that this would be Christ's desire. And that is the desire that David embraced. Doing God's will even in the deepest pits of discouragement, depression, despair, and loneliness. Remember I said earlier, some people don't serve in nurse because they don't feel like it. They don't, everything aches. And some people don't work in Awana this year because they just, they're too tired from work or whatever. And David isn't just physically tired. David is emotionally lonely. He is spiritually in despair. He is absolutely dejected and feels abandoned. And yet, look what he says. He says, dig out my ears, because even if I'm lonely, abandoned, dejected, and in despair, I still want to do your will. What's amazing is, no matter what sin tripped him up, David said, I want to do your will. I will obey. I will dedicate myself to your will. No matter what emotion pushed him down, David said, I want to do your will. I will obey. I will dedicate myself to doing your will. No matter what dark thought pierced him through. He was pierced through with dark thoughts and uncontrolled emotions. He just felt like he was going through, like I told you, that storm in that airplane where it's just like his whole life was going up and down like an airplane bounced around in a thunderstorm. He said, it doesn't matter what dark thoughts pierce me through. I want to do your will. I will obey. I will dedicate myself to do your will. No matter what temptations to quit surrounded him, David said, I want to do your will. I will obey. I will dedicate myself to your will. Now, if that's where you are this morning, if you have made that choice, there's no limit to what God can do with your life and what he can reveal of himself to you. If you, no matter where you are, down in the pit, face down in the mud, looking up at him in the mud, or maybe you're riding around with everything perfect in your life, it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is whether or not you're saying, I am dedicated to do your will no matter what comes, no matter what I feel like, no matter what's going on in my life, I want your will. In Psalm 40, David tells us the pathway into the pit and out of the pit. But it's time to read our text. Now we're going to get to the text. Psalm 40, verses 1 through 8. You follow along in your Bible. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined to me and heard my cry. He also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps. He has put a new song in my mouth, praise to our God. Many will see it and fear, and will trust in the Lord. Blessed is that man who makes the Lord his trust, and does not respect the proud, nor such as turn aside to lies. Many, O Lord my God, are your wonderful works, which you have done, and your thoughts toward us cannot be recounted to you in order. If I would declare it and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering you did not desire. My ears you have opened, dug out. Burnt offering and sin offering you did not require. Then I said, behold, I come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me, I delight to do your will, O my God, and your law is within my heart.